Hello Virgo, my name is Keith Haswell and I'm a professional astrologer with 40 years experience in the business and over 30,000 clients worldwide, tens of thousands of students worldwide as well. And it's my pleasure to welcome you, Virgo, to this particular video on your cycles for January and February 2015. Now, you have been brought to this particular video, Virgo, because you're ready for making changes inside of yourself that your higher self reckons that you weren't ready to make even a month ago. And so it has brought you to this particular video in order to be able to deliver a message to you about changes that it wants you to bring about within yourself to expand your understanding. Every single one of my videos, Virgo, is designed to help you to become more of who you really are. And so what I'm going to do for you is to first of all tell you a few things about yourself. That's always a lot of fun. Personality analysis, a look at your lifetime conditions and circumstances. And then I'm going to look at the movements of the faster moving bodies, the Sun, Mercury, Venus and Mars, as they move through the signs of the zodiac, Virgo. They also move through the houses of your horoscope. And as they do, they precipitate certain events and conditions that you've set up there in the inner side of things. They precipitate them into physical reality as events and conditions in your life. So just sit back and relax now, Virgo, and we'll have some fun together. You know, you're a very practical person, down to earth. You're an earth sign. You're very meticulous, you fit in well with other people, you're adaptable and you fit in well with other people, and you seem to be very fussy and particular about detail. You're one for detail. You're all the time seeking balance and harmony within yourself through your sense of security in life, Virgo. Your sense of security in life comes through relationships. You love relationships and you like to have harmony and balance there within the relationship. You also love music, Virgo, and from music you derive a lot of a sense of harmony and balance there within yourself. And so that's very important to you, but you're all the time seeking balance as far as your finances are concerned as well. Always trying to maintain a sense of harmony and balance there in terms of your sense of security. You're a very deep person, very introspective and reflective, Virgo. You spend a lot of time thinking and reflecting upon aspects of your nature that you feel that you want to change and bring about changes within yourself through that introspection and reflection. So you're a very deep person and sometimes a little bit difficult to get to know because there's aspects of your nature that you don't openly discuss with other people. Private parts of yourself that you feel as if you've become enamored with, that you regard as your blockages and limitations, and that you're all the time working to try and free yourself from and to rise above. Now, you seem to live near a school or a university at some time in your life, and one of your parents was born overseas or distantly from the place of your birth. You like to have a nice view of trees and the mountains and things like that from home, Virgo. You like to, you perhaps will live overseas at some time in your life. Now, you seem to have a few frustrations when it comes to the social side of life. You don't express yourself and put your point across as much as what you would like to. You're not so relaxed in the social atmosphere. And also in the sexual atmosphere too. You're not freely flowing as far as that side of your nature is concerned. So you seem to have a few nasty experiences perhaps early in life in regard to intimacy and closeness, and you feel as if you can't really express yourself fully the way that you want to in that particular area of your life. Now, you seem to work with computers or electronic equipment, or you could work with electrical things, and you work in social welfare work as well. And certainly you would work with computers in this day and age, I would suggest. Computers, electronics, aviation, transportation, communications. You could work with children, other people's children, as a teacher or something like that, and anything to do with social welfare and things like that as well. You form quite a lot of friendships with people that you work with, and there's quite a lot of pleasant group activities that spring from the job. Now your spouse, you meet your spouse under unusual circumstances, 1,000,000 to 1 chance that you would meet, and it was a chance encounter if you're married, and there seems to be a lot of secret worries for you in relationships. You get involved in a couple of relationships prior to marriage where there was a degree of secrecy and deception surrounding the relationship. So you also have a lot of worries about your partner, who could have a leaning toward drugs or alcohol or something like that. So that's just a little bit there, Virgo, about your nature and some of the type of experiences that you'll have in life. But bear in mind that I'm not taking into consideration your age here. I'm not taking into consideration whether you're male or female, and so therefore things that I talk about can mean differently for you if you're 19 and not married than what they are if you're 65 and not interested in relationships because you're happily married and so forth. So bear that in mind. Now what I'm going to do for you, Virgo, is look at the movements of the planets, the Sun, Mercury, Venus and Mars. As they move through the signs of the zodiac, they also move through the houses of your horoscope, and as they do, they precipitate events that are incipient events that are there in the emotional world until such time as these planets come through and activate them and bring them into conditions and events and manifestation. I'm going to put it on a timeline for you, Virgo, so that we'll start off with the 1st of January being the first of this 2-month period, and I'll tell you where these 4 bodies are on the 1st of January, and then when any of them makes a change into a different sign and therefore into a different house of your horoscope, I'll tell you when that happens. So it'll be on a timeline going from the beginning of the month all the way through to the end of February, okay? Now to start the month off with, Virgo, on the 1st of January, the Sun is in the 5th house of your horoscope together with Mercury and Venus. Now with those 3 bodies there in your 5th house, it means that there's a focus upon the social side of life to begin with. There's a social aspect to things, and there's also potential for romance and love and social activities there, forming of relationships and things like that. If you're in the market for a relationship, there's a great deal of love for children during this particular period. If you have any children in your life, there's a lot more communication and dealings with people that you work with on a social level. And with the Sun being there, it's in the 5th house of your horoscope and focusing your personality energies upon the social side of life generally, okay? Now Mars is in the 6th house of your horoscope to start the month off with, so therefore that can precipitate a little bit of stress and tension for you, perhaps to do with health and dietary matters, and you can have some conflicts with people that you work with, Virgo, when Mars is in the 6th house of your horoscope. People that you work with can also be a bit dominant and assertive in their nature towards you. Now the first change that we have is Venus on the 4th of January moves into the 6th house of your horoscope, and that begins a period where you will have a lot more social activities over the following couple of weeks with people that you work with. It's a very good time for a change in your job if you're in the market for a change. And there's a lot of love for domestic pets if they play a prominent part in your life. But social functions connected with the job and good stars to do with job interviews and things like that are there. 5th of January sees Mercury move into the 6th house of your horoscope, seeing a lot more communication with people that you work with. And on the 13th of January, Mars moves into the 7th house of your horoscope, Virgo. When Mars is in the 7th house of your horoscope, your partner can be a bit assertive if you have a partner or a spouse. They can be a bit assertive or dominant. They can have an accident. There's a lot of stress and tension there potentially. Could be a little bit of back and kidney trouble for you, or a few pains in the back and the kidneys. On the 21st of January, the Sun moves into the 6th house of your horoscope, Virgo, and remains there for 30 days. Now, when the Sun is in the 6th house of your horoscope, the whole of your personality focus is upon the job, social activities with people that you work with, domestic pets come to the fore, and also health and dietary matters become a focus of your personality as well, Virgo. Now, on the 22nd of December, Mercury goes retrograde. Now, Mercury is in the 6th house of your horoscope, and when Mercury goes retrograde, it means that there's a few misperceptions and a few miscommunications connected with the house that it sits in. Now, it's sitting in the 6th house of your horoscope, so there can be miscommunications with people that you work with, so you're not understood in things that you try to explain, and there can be a little bit of worry there to do with communication in the job. It's certainly not a good time for you for having a job interview when Mercury is retrograde in the 6th house of your horoscope. Now, when Mercury is retrograde also, Virgo, it impacts upon two other houses of your horoscope that are ruled by Mercury. Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo, and those houses are your first house, being a Virgo. So it means that personal self-initiated efforts don't go well. You can have all sorts of mishaps and so forth in things that you want to get started. And this also impacts upon things to do with parents, and things to do with dealings with government departments don't go smoothly, and matters relating to your career or business don't go smoothly. Now, on the 28th of January, Virgo, Venus moves into the 7th house of your horoscope, seeing your partner being a lot more affectionate towards you, a lot more loving if you have a partner, and there's a lot more social activities connected with the general public. So you like to get out to parades and group activities, theatres and festivals and things like that when Venus is in the 7th house of your horoscope. It is a good time to strengthen relationships and to form new relationships. Now, on the 12th of February, Virgo, Mercury goes direct again, so therefore the things that I spoke about earlier, being mishaps and so forth, they'll all settle down then, and things will go smoothly from there on in those particular areas of your life. Now, on the 19th of February, Virgo, the Sun moves into the 7th house of your horoscope and remains there for 30 days. When the Sun is in the 7th house of your horoscope, there's a focus of your personality upon your partner or spouse, a strengthening of a relationship, and there can be a lot of social activities connected with the general public and also to do with your spouse or partner. Now, on the 21st of February, Venus moves into the 8th house of your horoscope. If you're female, that increases your sex drive, and it also brings a great deal of interest in the deeper aspects of your nature, so that you're going to want to be delving deeply into the mysteries of yourself, the mysteries of sexuality, and the mysteries of blockages that you want to rise above. So there's a lot of introspection and reflection there. On the 21st of February also, Mars moves into the 8th house of your horoscope, and that'll increase your sex drive if you're a male. So when Mars is in the 8th house of your horoscope, there can be a lot of stresses and tensions focusing through joint finances that you share with your partner, and there's a lot of tension inside of yourself about aspects of yourself that you want to rise above and that you feel that you've become enamored with and can't rise above. Now, I also want to look at Jupiter for you, Virgo, because Jupiter is in 23 degrees in Leo, and that's in your 12th house of your horoscope, and it's been there for the last 9 months. So you've noticed that there's been a strong urge within yourself to bring about changes within yourself through introspection and reflection, and you've had a tremendous urge, Virgo, to have solitude in your life as well during the last 9 months, and you've benefited a lot from that solitude, and you've been able to sidle up to the divine in whatever way that appeals to you. with Jupiter in the 12th house of your horoscope. But Jupiter is retrograde starting off the month of January, and for the whole of the 2 months Jupiter is retrograde. Now that means that it impacts negatively upon the events of the 12th house of your horoscope. So you can have hidden enemies coming out of the woodwork, secret worries, you can have bad judgment, Virgo, in terms of relationships. You could get involved in a secret relationship if you're in the market for one of them, with Jupiter retrograde in the 12th house of your horoscope. So you can be your own worst enemy and deceptive and secretive in terms of relationships. Now Saturn is in the 4th house of your horoscope, but it's only just moved in there at the beginning of the year, Virgo. So therefore it's been going through the 3rd house of your horoscope for the last 2.5 years. So you've already felt the impact of Saturn in the 3rd house of your horoscope over the last 2.5 years, Virgo, and that means that you've had illness affecting your lungs and your bronchial system. You've also had problems with the death of a relative or a neighbour, or an illness involving a relative or a neighbour. And there's been a lot of secret worries for you, generally to do with motor vehicles and means of transportation over that last couple of years, okay? You've had frustrations and difficulties in your life to do with getting from A to B. Now all of us are charged with the task, Virgo, of bringing about changes within ourselves. And most times we bring about those changes within ourselves. The only thing that's constant in the universe, Virgo, is change. And we're all charged with the task of bringing about changes within ourselves, and we do so mainly through the avenue of necessity. We need to change, in other words, to maintain our financial viability, for example. We need to change in order to hold the family unit together. We need to make changes inside of ourselves to hold that relationship together. We need to make changes inside of ourselves to improve our health. We need to make changes inside of ourselves to hold on to that job. So through the avenue of necessity, we bring about changes within ourselves. We also bring about changes within ourselves, Virgo, through the avenue of fear and pain. Fear and pain. Now there's two major emotions in the universe, Virgo, and they are love and fear. Hate is not the opposite of love. Hate is a derivative of fear. So the two polarities in life are love and fear, and everything else is a derivative of either one of those, love or fear. Now there's also pain, and we bring about changes within ourselves through fear, and you're never going to get rid of fear because fear is vital to your survival. Fear of heights, fear of falling, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of humiliation, and so forth. So these fears are vital to your survival. And so we bring about changes within ourselves through fear and also through pain, and mainly emotional pain. Emotional pain is something that brings about changes within our souls. But there is another avenue whereby we can bring about changes within ourselves, Virgo, and that's the avenue of gratitude. The avenue of gratitude. Gratitude for what, you ask? Gratitude to God, Goddess, all that is, for the gifts that they have bestowed upon us. Virgo, they've given us the gift of eternal life. We can never ever die. We've all lived heaps of lifetimes in the past. Each lifetime we pick up where we left off in our last lifetime, and we become more of who we really are. We bring about changes within ourselves. And that is something that's very, very beautiful, to know that we've got eternal life, that we can never ever die, and we're all here in the human level of consciousness, and we remain in the human level of consciousness until we reach a level of relative perfection. And then we can move on into higher states of consciousness beyond the human level altogether, where there's more complexity and more intelligence and more love and more tests as well, no doubt, in that level. But we can't relate to that level of consciousness, just as an animal can't relate to our level of self-consciousness. The human level is the first level of self-consciousness. Another gift that God and Goddess have bestowed upon all of us, Virgo, is the gift of consciously creating all the events and conditions of our life through conscious choice. Now, most of us don't want that sort of responsibility, Virgo, and so therefore we give that power away to our subconscious mind and create the events and conditions of our life subconsciously. Now, all of us have the same raw materials, Virgo, and those raw materials are our attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings. And through those attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings, we make decisions and choices, and we mould and shape those raw materials through the decisions and choices into the events and conditions of our life. No one is doing it to you, Virgo. No one is creating the events and conditions of your life except you. And so if you're not happy with the events and conditions of your life, you've got to look at those raw materials. Are you wallowing in self-pity and fear and anxiety and doubt and insecurity and low self-esteem and problems with your self-image and martyrhood and shame and guilt and domination and manipulation and control? If your raw materials are made up of that sort of stuff, and they're the things that are creating all of the events and conditions of your life, Virgo, then what sort of conditions and events are you going to be experiencing? So it's much better to use the avenue of gratitude and to be able to consciously create all of the events of our life as God and Goddess have given us the power to do so. Well, if they wanted us to act that way in the first place, why didn't they create us that way in the first place? Because they've given us free will. They've given us free will to be able to choose what we do with our life. And free will, they will never take that away from us. And so they've given us the gift of creating all of the events of our life consciously, so we've got to spruce up those raw materials and turn them into attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings that are positive, attributes and qualities and principles and values of integrity and trust and honesty and reliability and leadership qualities and love and giving and caring and sharing and so forth. So these are the things that we are charged with the task of doing with our life, and then we can consciously create a better set of events and conditions in our life, Virgo. Now, in line with helping you to do that, I've got available from my website, and the website will pop up on the screen a little bit later on, so you can write that down. I've got available for you a gift of 12 CDs out of my first book, What Really Matters, a book on astrology, meditation and reincarnation, Virgo. So you can go there and you can download that first CD and see if that's a message that your higher self wants to deliver to you. Because your higher self has brought you to this particular video at this particular time, not by chance. There's no such thing as random chance. And it wants you to perhaps relate to the things that I'm talking about here on this video and download that first CD, and if it makes sense to you, we'll go on to CD number 2 and download that. It's all with my voice, with beautiful backing music, and I take you in and out of meditation time and time again on all aspects of personal and spiritual growth. And then you can go ahead and do the whole 12. But if the first one doesn't make sense to you and you don't think that it's any good for you at the moment, then put it off for 6 months or 12 months and then come back, perhaps when you're ready for it, okay? And I also have a second book called Coming Home, An Eternal Journey. And that's a book that goes into the deeper aspects of personal and spiritual growth, okay? And to give you an idea of the impact that these CDs of mine, there's 24 CDs in those intensives 2 and 3, and there's 12 in the intensive 1, which are the free ones that are available, okay? So to give you an idea of the impact that they're having upon students of mine worldwide, I'll read to you an email that I received in the last month from somebody who's going through intensives 2 and 3. Not because I'm trying to sell you anything, okay? I'm trying to help you to become more of who you are through a free gift. Dear Keith, now finally, at last, answers, real answers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The greatest journey of my life. Your lessons are exciting, challenging, and empowering. As you say, I am now in spiritual university, studying consciousness expansion, and you are my loved teacher. And what a teacher! Patient, supportive, encouraging, and expert. It's as if you know at what pace I can absorb information. While some goes over my head, or I just plain don't hear it, I catch up on the next attempt. I'm being watched over, helped along, and encouraged all the way. The meditations are perfectly timed and emotional for me. I can see now, though, that my words fail to fully describe the impact your intensives are having on every level of my life. For me to think that events and circumstances in my life were being shaped by outside influences appears now to be a weird dream. I'll never again see anything as I once did, but the impacts are much deeper and broader than that. The Transformation series is life-changing and stand alone as inspired individual works that will impact on me for the rest of my life. I feel they are so powerful. What wonders will intensive number 3 hold? I'm going to find out. I can't wait to hear you talk about quantum physics and where it fits in with metaphysics. The whole series is gold. Not for the last time. Thank you, Keith. Love, Lex. Also, I've got 150 videos up there on YouTube, 145 videos up there on YouTube that are on all aspects of personal and spiritual growth, and they're available for you to look at free of charge, of course. Now also, sometimes I do what's called a free horoscope number 1, Virgo, and this is a look at your horoscope chart personally, nothing to do with other sun signs Virgo or rising sign in Virgo. This is to do with your horoscope personally. And when I do open this up, this free horoscope number 1, I sometimes get 40 orders in one day, so I've got to do 40 horoscope charts in one day and then give a 7-page report on what I find there in that person's horoscope. I look at the location of the moon. The moon rules your emotions, Virgo, and where that is by sign and by house tells a lot of things about you personally as an individual over and above other Virgo people. And where Mercury is, which rules your mind and your communication skills, where that is by sign and by house, is another message there that perhaps your higher self wants you to hear. And where Venus is, which rules your love nature, by sign and by house, tells a lot more about your personality and what energies that you're dealing with in this particular lifetime. And Mars rules your energy levels, Virgo, and where that sits by sign and by house is another message there that's important for you. So all of that is incorporated into a 7-page printout that's sent to you by email, and to help you to become more of who you really are. But as I say, I can't always guarantee that that's going to be there. It might only be there 2 days out of a 7-day week, for example. So I have to turn it on and off like a faucet so that I can handle the workload. But that's there as a gift for you whenever it's available. But anyway, go to my website. The website address is probably popped up by now. And go to my website, that first free CD, and see what you think of that. and subscribe to my videos, because I'm putting out new videos all the time. I'll probably put out another 150 YouTube videos in 2015 on all aspects of personal and spiritual growth. Some of them will go over your head, but start on the early ones first and build yourself up. And I think that's about all. So it's nice to have this opportunity, Virgo, to be able to talk with you and to be able to share this time with you. And if you do go to my website and submit your birth details, I look forward to looking at your horoscope for you and to seeing how you progress through the CDs as well. So I thank you for your attentiveness here, Virgo, and look forward to working further with you should you decide to take the next step. Thank you.